So I wrote this book called Good Without God, What a Billion Non-Religious People Do Believe. It's a book about humanism. You know, if I had to give a short definition of humanism, I would say humanism is good without God. But I think it's very important that the emphasis of humanism for me is not just on the without God part. It's not just on the things that I don't believe. It's on the good. It's on this idea that I'm focused on living a good life for myself and for the people I love and for all human beings and for the sake of the entire natural world that surrounds us and sustains us. I'm a chaplain here at Harvard for humanists, atheists, agnostics, and the non-religious. Everybody seems to have a relative, a friend, a teacher, a mentor, somebody that was important to them at some point or another that made it pretty clear that they weren't religious. And that, you know, that the people will say, oh, you know, you've given me a name for myself or for my father or for my mother or for my sister or whatever. Yes, humanist, that makes sense. You know, it's not just that I'm a non-believer. I'm trying to be good without God. My father searched and searched his whole life for a community that made sense to him, and he never even heard the word humanism. He was somebody that was hoping to find something deeper, something more meaningful in his life than just sort of the everyday humdrum existence. And he went out and he searched and he read everything: Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, Islamic mysticism, Christian mysticism, whatever it was, and really tried out sort of like they were hats, you know, tried these things on and they didn't quite fit, so he left them behind. It really left him without a community. I'm probably a lot like him in the sense that I'm always thinking about what's the deeper meaning of what I'm experiencing. But, you know, I don't want to end up alone the way that he did, with sort of just his very narrow family without a sense of connection to the broader community. But I don't want other people to have to end up like that either. You know, I think that there's something that religious communities do, that the best kinds of communities of all sorts do, that they bring people together and they help them connect with one another, which I think is probably the most meaningful thing in life. I want to make it such that everybody has heard the word humanism. I think if you've heard of Christianity, if you've heard of Judaism, if you've heard of Islam, if you have some vague sense of what those things are and what they do, you ought to have heard of humanism. There really are huge numbers of people in the world today that define themselves as non-religious or secular or atheist or agnostic. The focus of their lives does not tend to be on what a God wants them to do or what a given religious set of teachings wants them to do. The focus of most of these people's lives, I think, is on one another. We all feel our own pain, and that's totally fundamentally human, to bleed and to feel grief and pain. But the second kind of humanity is this other feeling that because of the way our brains evolved, when you feel pain, when you feel grief, when you feel vulnerability, I can never directly experience that the same way that I can experience my own feelings. I'll never know exactly what it's like, you know, to experience you and your pain or your joy for that matter. But I can't be fully human unless I can somehow learn to understand. With each person that we come across in life, we have to find our own way, and we have to build our own way of relating to them, caring about them, being compassionate to them, and maybe even loving them. And that's a huge challenge for me. I'd say that's at the center of what I call humanism.